many scientists worried about taking a public stand on this because they're afraid that government entities might cut off their grant support.
Well, I'm sure that's all true. I don't have the documentation to say it, so you have to say it, I can't. I have not had a scientist say to me, I'm afraid. I've had some TV weathermen say to me, I'm afraid. I can't say anything because of my job. But I haven't actually had a scientist say to me yet, I fear for my job, or I have to take this position I don't believe in. And if they do, for shame on them. I would rather be right and called names and abused than give lip service to a fraud. But we don't. All four of the remaining, as of the date we're recording this, political candidates for president of the United States are global warming advocates. Almost everybody in the U.S. Congress and Senate. There are some notable exceptions. The president is weak, but certainly doesn't speak out against global warming. The governor of California is on the bandstand. The mayor of New York has just declared the threat of global warming worse than the threat of terrorism. All of this incredible grandstanding by politicians. They read the polls. 80% of the Americans believe global warming is a threat. Why do they believe that? Because of the incredible hype on television. Why is the incredible hype on television? Because of the UN telling them there's a consensus of 2,500 scientists, and because Al Gore stands up to speak, and he's well produced, and he's strong and loved by the media. Voila! Global warming catastrophe. The sky is falling. I'm so sick of it I could die.
Now, you were founder of the Weather Channel, and now the Weather Channel has become a leading propaganda font for global warming.
Today the Weather Channel is for sale, and I have a finger crossed and a strong hope that the new owner of the Weather Channel will stop that one-sided nonsense.
You mentioned other weathermen on television networks saying they have to keep silent or toe the mark on this.
Yeah, they have families to feed, mortgages to pay. They're real guys.
This is fairly prevalent in the major media because most of the media have taken a stand in
yes, absolutely. I'm in my retirement job. If I get fired here today, I'm fine, thank you. My retirement is well taken care of. I only work because it's fun. Beats staying home. And well, the money's nice, but I get by fine without it. But I happen to work for a company that has been very supportive of me. There aren't many like that. This is one of the few TV stations in the United States that's owned by an individual where I work, KUSI. And they have my global warming briefs posted on their website. They allow me to use their studio as I am here to do interviews. Yesterday I was on the Glenn Beck show on CNN. Today I talk to you. Tomorrow it's somebody else. Next month they'll give me days off to go to New York to be at a conference on the 1st of March. All of these things I'm supported by, and very few TV weathercasters have that.
You mentioned the United Nations and government following things up. It seems if we were to go forward with Kyoto or any variation of Kyoto, which would impose vast restrictions on all human activity, that government and global governance through the United Nations would be the big beneficiaries.
Well, all of this is predicated on carbon being a dirty word. All right. And the carbon we're talking about is carbon dioxide. And it's the last remaining cornerstone of global warming. The hockey stick chart, ridiculous scientific fraud, got shot down. It was in Al Gore's book and movie. The pronouncements by NASA about global temperature averages going up have been corrected, and now we know the warmest U.S. decade was the 30s, not the 90s. That silliness is in it. All that's left now is carbon. And now we got the whole carbon credits thing and this incredible financial thing going on. And government is all wrapped up in it, and it is all predicated on carbon dioxide being the forcing agent for global warming. Now, I'm sitting in the atmosphere, and let's say within this box my hands are defining, let's say a 9 inches square. Let's say there are 100,000 molecules of atmosphere. 38 of those are carbon dioxide. Even after all the fossil fuel we've burned, only 38. When you and I breathe, our breath out is carbon dioxide. It's a natural component. It's not a pollutant. It's a natural component of the atmosphere. When plants turn green and flourish, their whole process is fueled by carbon dioxide. That's what our crops and our forests are thriving because of increased carbon dioxide. But when fossil fuels burn to power cars or power plants, they emit, as their exhaust emission, carbon dioxide, and that's what this is all about. The environmentalists have taken over the global warming frenzy because they want to get rid of fossil fuel. And so they are making this whole carbon is the enemy of mankind thing to try to get rid of fossil fuels. Well, fossil fuels have powered our civilization. They are what makes the world go. I think they're 20th century stuff, and that's when they came and powered this incredible revolution. But now it's over. And so we got to phase them out. We got to come up with something new, but we don't have it yet. And they've built this whole fictitious case that this carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which has doubled over the last 50 years because of these emissions, that is driving global warming because it forces the atmosphere. It's like it's a magic component in the atmosphere. It forces the water vapor, which is the primary greenhouse gas, to be 2.5 times more powerful in heating the earth. And they built up this whole case. I've got a scientific paper that's the UN paper on radiative forcing by carbon dioxide that's 240 pages long. They've really worked at trying to build their case. Their case is no good at all. Doesn't hold up under peer review, doesn't hold up under study, and any number of scientists, including the Arthur and Noah Robinson, have done a fabulous job of showing how this whole CO2 forcing issue is phony as it can be. And without that, the global warming advocates don't have anything left. Their whole case is destroyed scientifically. But they still have the media. They still have the government.
But we can end all of the carbon-based fuels and just rely on solar and wind power.
Well, no. It'd be so lovely if we could come up with a great alternate fuel. I remember we were talking about the 70s when I was covering the Ice Age. I was also covering the development of hydrogen fuel for automobiles. Great concept. Couldn't make it work. We have some hydrogen-powered buses today and a few government vehicles, but there's some innate problems with it that haven't been solved. We look at fuel cells. We haven't come up with the solutions yet. Our hybrid automobiles are a wonderful step, but they are not practical yet. Economically very unpractical still. And solar power might work great in San Diego, where I live, but it doesn't work with a hoot in Antarctica or Alaska, and it's not very good in Seattle. And wind power is only good at a few limited places. It's a very expensive technology still. We don't have, and solar power, we're getting better and better at it all the time. Better and better and better, and it could be that it will be an ultimate solution, but we're a long way from being there.
Seems the one solution that we do have for a big part of the picture, right up the road from you, 50 miles from San Diego to San Onofre, nuclear power. But the folks that are opposed to all the carbon-based fuels have been fighting nuclear power for 30 years too.
I also covered the first nuclear power plant's opening as a young newsman. That was a big event, and we were told power would be generated so cheaply we wouldn't even have meters anymore. It'd be Send $5 a month and use all the electric power you want, was kind of the concept. I'm serious. I mean, this is the 1950s. And we were told this was going to be the savior of Earth. And in some ways, it could have been. Nuclear power is pretty amazing. But environmentally, politically, very difficult to sell. I have no reason to, I would not challenge the building of a nuclear power plant near your house. Don't build one by my house.
We see France and many other countries going ahead with it, but here in the United States, where we pioneered it, not a nuclear power plant in the last...
Oh yeah, it's an outrage, of course. And this country has this country gone nuts? We have emotional opposition to so many things that on a practical basis make wonderful sense. And that's the way it is with nuclear power. 3 Mile Island, you know, got this incredible media play. Chernobyl was indeed a true tragedy. And that's about, it's kind of almost the beginning and end for nuclear power. If it ever makes a comeback in my lifetime, I'll be amazed. But it's, oh yeah, it is a magnificent power source.
Since 2000 or 2001, correct me, we haven't seen any raise in the temperature that the global warming folks have been advocating.
We're in a cooling trend. The Earth has gone, the sun has gone quiet. Those guys in Canada and Russia are talking about an ice age, though they've probably gone over the edge. They've got a point. The sun's in a very quiet phase, and and a cooling trend is underway. And I'm sure the global warming alarmists are going nuts, because, but you know, Jim Hansen, who runs the NASA temperature program, still has his ways of manipulating the data, massaging the data so that it accurately portrays in his mind that the Earth is warm. The truth is, you know, South America had the worst winter in 50 years. China's had the worst winter now in 50 years. The U.S. is having a real old-fashioned winter. The Alaska just finished one of the worst cold spells in a couple of decades. I didn't see any press on it at all, but 40 below for 7 days straight at Fairbanks. A place called Chicken went to 72 below. Some of the coldest weather they've ever seen in modern times in Alaska. The Arctic ice cap, we heard all about it melting last summer. That sucker's frozen up. Oh man, is the North Pole frozen up now. It's been a dastardly cold winter there.
People are praying for global warming.
And yeah, they are. And I'm wondering what the global warming doomsayers are going to use next year to point to claim that global warming is happening.
Well, it brings you to the final point here. Are you hopeful that with yourself and many other of the scientists finally being able to speak out in an organized fashion, and with at the same time the temperatures cooperating, and it's becoming very obvious that we are not facing a real imminent threat, that there may be some sanity returning and we may be able to head this off before a Kyoto-style political solution is put in place?
I'll give you a flip answer. No, I am not hopeful. In this crazy world, I see things we shouldn't expect, that the UN will tell us it's over, that they were wrong, that Al Gore will tell us he's wrong and return his prizes, that suddenly politicians will step up and tell us the truth. No, these things aren't going to happen. Things we can hope for, that through your efforts, mine, and those of thousands of other people who know the truth, that we can begin to change some public opinion and calm the fears. And maybe enough that our governments won't spend billions and billions of dollars on silliness. Maybe. We can hope for that.